There you go. That's it. Respect the whole thing.
Fox was like he's like a middleweight. Do you know what I mean? Like a sort of not an amateur boxer, but an amateur style, like jab, move, or like pick your shots and move. Like he ain't meant to fight like that. And I was like, there was at some point, yeah.
The boxing world is buzzing after reports surfaced that Dillian Whyte was knocked out during sparring ahead of his bout with Moses. The reaction has been intense, and now analysts aren't pulling any punches. Whyte has become a subject of criticism across the sport. A knockout in training, especially at this stage of his career, has sparked serious doubts. Fans are now questioning whether he should even be stepping into the ring against a hungry, rising talent like Moses.
Him right down the middle with straight right, and knocked him down again. And that one to finish him was a big shot, man.
Joe Rogan didn't sugarcoat it, and honestly, why would he? News of Dillian Whyte getting dropped in sparring isn't just surprising. It's a serious red flag. Rogan didn't offer commentary. He sounded an alarm. His take was blunt. If Whyte gets touched, it might be over. That's not just critique, that's a warning. This isn't the same body snatcher fans once feared. It's starting to look more like a fading fighter with a fragile chin.
At least for a round or two.
First time he gets cracked, I guarantee that his head's gonna be like, oh shit.
It's gonna be interesting to see what happens.
How many rounds is it?
I think it's 8.
Yeah.
And just when things seemed like they couldn't get any more embarrassing, Tyson Fury stepped in with the ultimate jab. His trolling skills are top tier, and Whyte's recent downfall gave him the perfect opportunity. The old Dillian, that's the phrase making the rounds. Because the version we're seeing now, he's slower, less sharp, and clearly struggling to compete at the elite level. Fury wasn't just mocking a rival this time. He sounded like someone watching a former warrior fade away. When even your fiercest critics stop throwing shots and start laughing, that's when you know the end is near.
Level, the old Dillian, it was a couple of years ago. It's going to be interesting to see how much that Dillian Whyte has left. And
Then came Frank Warren, delivering the harshest reality check yet. No filters, no fluff, just straight talk. It almost felt like he was unofficially signing off on Whyte's retirement. The message couldn't be clearer. Moses Itauma is no easy matchup. He's powerful, he finishes opponents, and he's doing it against real competition. So if Whyte is getting dropped in training, how's he supposed to handle a young, hungry fighter looking to build his name at his expense? This isn't a comeback story. It's starting to look like a setup.
But I'm talking about with somebody who doesn't fiddle around, somebody who actually would like to get him in the latter rounds and is capable of knocking people over. You know, he's a puncher. You've seen him do it.
Let's call it what it is. This isn't about legacy anymore. It's about Dillian Whyte chasing one final payday before the curtain closes for good. Andrew McCart summed it up perfectly. Whyte couldn't secure a high-profile opponent, so now he's being positioned as a stepping stone for Moses. If you're getting knocked out in training and still agreeing to fight just because the money's right, that's not drive. That's desperation.
I mean, I like the fight. The reason being is because Moses Itauma, we've been saying now, is that guy. He needs that test. He needs that step up. And I think Dillian Whyte is that guy. Dillian Whyte's probably found it hard now to get that big fight. He's probably said, I'll fight Moses Itauma if you give me X amount of money. And that's probably what...
Moses Itauma isn't just another rising fighter. He's the face of a new wave. Gareth A. Davies isn't building excitement around this bout because of Dillian Whyte. He's doing it despite him. This matchup is about showcasing Moses and his rapid ascent, not giving Whyte some late career redemption story. Whyte's name is there to add credibility to the poster, nothing more. And after reports of that sparring knockout, his role is crystal clear. He's the opponent meant to be on the wrong end of a highlight.
Boxing world wanting to go there because Moses Itauma is fascinating. I spoke to Francis Warren ringside on Saturday night. You had a microphone as well. Were you allowed to put the pressure on them to speak? Because I just did anyway.
Adam Smith might be keeping things polite, but let's not pretend this isn't one-sided. It's Dillian Whyte who's under real pressure here. Sure, Moses Itauma is still early in his career, but he's aggressive, undefeated, and full of fire. Meanwhile, Whyte looks like a fighter running low on both confidence and chin strength, especially after that viral sparring knockout. The idea that Whyte is somehow too much for Moses feels like a stretch when you look at his recent performances. There's no intimidation factor left, just a recognizable name attached to a paycheck. That's exactly why this matchup exists, a proving ground for Moses and a last big payday for Whyte. But remember, tests go both ways, and Whyte might not last long enough to pose any questions. If Moses connects clean, and chances are he will, what happened behind closed doors in sparring could turn into a very public disaster. Adam Smith wants to see it. So do we. But the real suspense? Whether Whyte makes it out of round 2.
I think he's very, very good, Moses Itauma. So some people might say he'll get rid of Dillian Whyte like he has the others. Maybe not. Maybe Dillian's too much for him at this stage, which is why it's a
Peter Fury, who's worked with some of the sport's most dangerous fighters, offered a brutally honest take on what Dillian Whyte is walking into. Fury doesn't give praise easily, so when he says Moses Itauma ticks all the boxes, it's not a throwaway comment. It's a statement of belief. He sees a future world champion in the making. And what's Whyte bringing to the table? Knockdowns and sparring, ring rust, and a chin that's taken too much damage over the years. Fury admits Moses hasn't been fully tested yet, and he's right. But is Whyte truly the test? Or just another recognizable name to add to Moses's resume? There was a time when Whyte carried genuine danger, but now he's starting to look like a fighter who's stayed around longer than he should have. Peter Fury knows what elite talent looks like, and he also knows when a fighter's on the decline. That's the difference here. Moses is surging upward, and Whyte is fading fast. With so much on the line, one man chasing greatness, and the other trying to hold onto what's left, this fight could very well become another statement performance for the rising lion.
Young talent. He's got speed, he's got power, he's tough, he's game. He ticks all the boxes so far. So let's see. Again, he's young. You know, he's not really been tested because what he's doing to these opponents. So let's see, it's early days, but big future for him.
Dillian Whyte sounds less like a confident fighter and more like someone trying to convince himself that he's still got it. All the talk about strategy and setting traps feels empty when you've just been dropped behind closed doors. You can plan all you want, but when your reflexes are fading and your chin can't take a clean shot, no tactic in the world will protect you. It's like buffing up a car with no engine. It might look good, but it's not going anywhere. Moses isn't going to give him time to settle. He's coming forward with speed and intent, looking to test Whyte from the first bell. And we already know what happens when Whyte gets tagged clean. It's game over. This isn't the aggressive, confident Whyte from back in 2015. This is a worn-down version, hoping a game plan can mask the wear and tear. But fans aren't fooled. Moses isn't either. And when the fight starts, all that strategy will mean nothing the moment Whyte eats a sharp left. Because no plan covers up for a chin that can't take the heat anymore.
More punches than that, and I have a lot more punches than that. So, you know, I'm not just focusing on one punch. I'm focusing more on strategy and getting to the strategic position to learn what we're learning. It's a southpaw, so you know, you can't just walk up to him and learn left hook and then the same like you do on a lot of people. So you have to set it up and timing and stuff. So yeah, I've just been working more on that.
Why should no? When asked about the criticism and growing public concern, Dillian Whyte responded with the usual deflection. And that says it all. The real issue? He's not listening. And that might be exactly why he's in this situation in the first place. His attitude towards sparring knockouts and serious questions about his readiness doesn't come off as confident. It sounds like denial. There's a difference between tuning out the noise and ignoring flashing red lights. When a fighter gets dropped in training and shrugs it off like it's nothing, history usually doesn't end well. Whyte insists he doesn't care what people think. But fans aren't just throwing shade, they're raising real concern. And if he's not taking it seriously, Moses Itauma absolutely is. Because what Whyte sees as noise, Moses sees as opportunity. Whyte talks like a man clinging to pride. But pride isn't going to protect him from a 20-year-old powerhouse with knockout power in both fists. This isn't about haters. It's about harsh truth. And right now, that truth is brutal. Whyte is in deep water, and he's acting like he still knows how to swim.
He's gonna say, I just do what I believe, and I say, yeah, okay, cool, and just do whatever the fuck I want anyway, so yeah. I don't really, I try and focus on me and what I'm doing and what my kids and family is doing. I don't care about some idiots' attention land.
Simon Jordan didn't mince words. This isn't matchmaking. It's calculated risk control. Dillian Whyte isn't being chosen because he's still world class. He's being picked because, on paper, he looks like a credible threat. But in reality, he's faded just enough to be convincingly beaten. He's the illusion of danger. Jordan understands how this business works. And if Moses Itauma's team truly believed Whyte was a serious threat, this fight wouldn't even be on the table, that it's all optics. Whyte's name still carries some weight, but his current role is clear. He's the stepping stone. Jordan even compared him to previous opponents like Mariusz Wach and Dempsey McKean, fighters who helped build a highlight reel without posing real risk. Whyte fits that mold perfectly. The goal here isn't to test Moses, it's to showcase him. They expect some rounds, maybe, but not real resistance. And that speaks volumes about where Whyte stands in his career. Once the headliner of major events, now handpicked as the safe name to elevate a rising star. That sparring knockout? It only confirmed what promoters already suspected. The danger is low, and the reward is huge. Whether Moses wipes him out early or breaks him down over time, the outcome feels inevitable. The body snatcher isn't the threat anymore. He's the target.
I think it's a great fight, but it'll be fascinating to see how Moses goes against Dillian. I don't think they put him in against Dillian Whyte if they think there's real jeopardy for them. I think they might get a few rounds and get asked a few more questions than possibly they've been asked by Mariusz Wach and Dempsey McKean. But I don't think
this perspective walks a fine line, acknowledging Dillian Whyte's legacy while making it clear just how far he's fallen. And that's the key phrase, the old Dillian. Because the version stepping in with Moses isn't the same fighter who went to war with Anthony Joshua or slugged it out with Derek Chisora. That Dillian is gone. What remains is a man trying to reclaim what slipped away years ago. His timing, toughness, and durability. Sure, the power is still there, but what does it matter when the defense is shaky and the gas tank runs dry by round 4? Even voices inside his own camp, like Ty Mitchell, are talking more about taking things seriously than about how sharp Whyte looks in training. That's never a good sign. Focus alone doesn't win fights. Conditioning and resilience do. And let's be honest, that sparring knockout says more than any pre-fight interview ever could. Meanwhile, Moses Itauma is the exact opposite. Active, relentless, and on the rise. This isn't a clash of equals. It's a meeting of two men heading in opposite directions. One building a future, the other hanging onto a named AT this point. The real question isn't who's better. It's how long Whyte can hang on once Moses lands something clean.
Good fight, actually, especially for Moses. I think it's a very good time to fight Dillian. He's had a couple of years out the ring. But, make no mistakes, Dillian Whyte is a massive puncher. It's a head and body. I know he's taking it very serious. I'm speaking to Ty Mitchell, who's in training camp with him. And looking forward to the fight. It's a big step up for Moses because he hasn't really fought anybody on Dillian's level. The old Dillian, who was a couple of years ago. It's going to be interesting to see how much that Dillian...
And finally, the most brutally honest take came from AO. And he didn't hold back. He said what many fans are already thinking. Dillian Whyte doesn't just need a solid training camp. He needs to somehow become the fighter he once was. That fearless, relentless version of Whyte, the one who walked into fire without blinking, is no longer here. What's left is someone trying to reignite a flame that's clearly faded. That AO's assessment was harsh, but real. Whyte's best shot doesn't come down to tactics or technical tweaks. It comes down to mentally reviving a version of himself that may be gone for good. Because physically he's slower, more hittable, and far more fragile than ever before. Meanwhile, Moses Itauma is everything Whyte used to be. Young, sharp, fearless. There was a time when Whyte was the man flipping tables and owning the room. Now, he's the one getting floored in private sessions. It's poetic in a way. Moses, who probably grew up watching Whyte's prime, now has the chance to close the chapter on it. And if Whyte can't summon that old fire, not just for a brief moment, but for an all-out war, he's going to be another name added to Moses's highlight reel. That's how quickly the fight game evolves.
The old school Dillian Whyte who, wasn't afraid of anyone, would put it on anyone, because Moses is still only 20. And I almost feel like if Dillian needs a path to victory, it might start from outside the ring first, and then we'll see. Because there would have been a time when Moses has grown up and he's watching Dillian Whyte.
This isn't just a fight. It's a final reckoning for Dillian Whyte. Once a feared presence in the heavyweight ranks, he now finds himself facing questions not about legacy, but survival. Knocked out in sparring and matched against a 20-year-old force like Moses Itauma, the stakes couldn't be higher. Because Moses isn't just another rising prospect. He's the symbol of what's next. Fast, dangerous, and determined to build a name that lasts. In many ways, he represents everything Whyte used to be. This isn't about titles, it's about pride, purpose, and whether there's still anything left in Whyte's tank. And if he gets stopped here, and let's be honest, the signs are pointing that way, it won't just be another loss. It'll feel like the end of the road. But if somehow Whyte can dig deep, reach back to who he was before the wear and tear, before the chin started to crack, then maybe, just maybe, there's still one more fight in the old dog. This fight won't just test skill, it will test heart. It's a battle between a rising lion chasing glory and a wounded veteran fighting off the shadows. The question now is simple. Who wants it more? Are you backing the new blood, Moses Itauma, to grab the torch? Or do you believe Dillian Whyte has one final roar left before the lights go out for good? Let us know in the comments. Because this is more than about. This is legacy on the line.